Hi, hello, and how are you, Simmers? I'm Bellamy Simucator, and I'm here to introduce you to the cast of characters in my Biodome Let's Play. We just saw Boyle. He zipped by real quickly. Bodie, if you are familiar with the movie that is about these two fellas who mistake a biodome for a mall and need to use it for the restroom. And while they sneak in, they are then locked in for a year with 5 other scientists who are studying all sorts of different things. It has all these different ecosystems, and it's a comedy. Forgot what year it came out. I just watched it the other day. So Bodie here and Boyle, who we saw very quickly in the beginning, are based on Stephen Baldwin and Pauly Shore's character. I set them as both lazy, a bro, and a party animal, where Bodie wants to fall in love with whoever he meets, and Boyle is a party animal at heart, so he wants to have good parties, he wants to be well liked. So as you can see, I'm just going over their different outfits. For Bodie and Boyle, they have more everyday looks. I imagined them being trapped in there and not having the extra clothes. So some outfits, they borrow a shirt. The party outfit for both Bodie and Boyle, they switch their everyday wear. That's what they have for their party outfits. I gave everyone the same workout gear. It's a little jogger set, and I imagined that's what the company gave everyone, and they actually had a couple extra sizes for the special guest. Nolan Leffler here wants to be, I believe is that the Renaissance Sim, so he's a bookworm, art lover, and an overachiever. I didn't make him mean. I could have made him mean like he is in the movie, but I didn't. And Olive here is our nectar maker, although as I've been playing with them, she goes to the gardening area. So that helps her grow her crops for her nectar making. And then Cece Tompkins is the fish gal. She has her own office with the fish. She swims with them. She studies them. However, I might have to change her trait because it does want her to travel to different places, and that she cannot possibly do. And she's a vegetarian. There's been a couple mistakes while I'm getting to know these Sims where she ate meat. So I'm just kind of making a little note for her to be able to have the vegetarian food. So she cooks often. Then we have Dr. Poppy von Strant, who in the movie, the character is played by songstress Kylie Minogue. I have her as generous, loyal, no, outgoing, yes, and a maker. It's funny because I put so many different crafts for them to work on, woodworking, knitting, and cross stitch, and her and Nolan just randomly keep cross stitching, so that's great. She's also my handy person. I don't know why, just when I was working, everything started breaking, so I had her go, and she's been able to fix most of the stuff, which is good. I do need to have someone else. This is JC Rhombus. He is the botanist, plant guy, but like I said, he and Olive kind of do similar stuff, just on their own. And now I'm going to be going into a mess of a Let's Build here. So it goes really quickly, and I cut out so many things because I jumped around. When I watched the movie, what I liked about it was it was built on a hillside. It had all the big giant rocks and the desert. It also had this area where you walked down into the desert, a waterfall. In my head, I could make all of this, but in actually Sims, with my level of building skills, I could not do it. So I demolished it all again, and I had to put down the concrete just so I could figure out what I wanted to do. The picture that I had in my head was the different glass ceilings. So I used the one from the greenhouse kit, which came in handy. But then when I was making it later, there were some parts where I had to shrink the actual area of glass and add the um, eco lifestyle, like solar powered one. As you can see here, the front of the park, not a park, the front of the part of the build here, I wanted to have that step down part and it just did not work. So I was able to do it later. In the back, I made a small desert. As you see with the mountains here, I thought, oh, that's going to be great. I'll build it in there. It did not stay long because then I realized I needed an entrance on one side and I wanted to put not as much rock space. So later I found some debug rocks and I sized them actually down because it's the ones you see in the rest of the world. The water plant that they use for the filming, it had space between the actual roof and the so-called walls that you see there. So I did not a half wall, but a 3/4 of a wall. And then I made the front door here. One of the things I had, I don't know if you heard me take a sip of water, but there you go. With the front door, I wanted to make it so that the sim in the rest of the world, like the welcome wagon, I played a whole week. I never got a welcome wagon. And I locked the front door so no one can leave, which that's been working pretty well. But I had wanted it that they could walk into the lobby and the front door was inside. And in reality, it did not let me do that. I'm sure there may be a trick or it just doesn't do that. Briefly, I decided, hey, I'm going to put a pond inside. That did not work. That was my phone alarm. Briefly, I thought, oh, I can do the platformy thing here where it's empty space down. That did not work either. Then I thought I'm going to put all the windows alongside, and I eventually scrapped the back part because that's where I put the offices for the fish and the plant. No, the bug. I made him a bug person because in the movie he's a bug person, and I thought, okay, bugs and plants, they go well together. I think, yeah, and then it jumps to I just got completely fed up and I swapped a bunch of things. And so I decided they need to have a gym where they can work out. And like I said, I've been playing it for a week in Sims time, and they have a record player, not a record player, a radio in the gym. And it took the Sims about a week to realize that there is a music in this build. So now I'm going to have to see how long because they keep going to it. The juicing area, that is Olive Station. Although JC did help make some lemon fizz juice. That was exciting. At first, this one that I'm actually putting in did not work properly. So when I went and did a playthrough of it, I replaced it so that way it works. I also took out the woodworking table, and you'll see in the newer ones, that's all that's in there now because I originally gave Bodie and Boyle sleeping bags, and I had them sleeping in the upstairs utility room. But since they, for some reason, these Sims did not want to go to sleep. They have beds, they're assigned beds, and they're sleeping on benches. Not even the couch upstairs, just benches. There's an ottoman in the bathroom. They kept sleeping there. So they still have the sleeping bag in their inventory. However, I changed it so they have cots in the woodworking room. That's the back area where I eventually create the desert, because that was the only way I could do a step down into the area that I wanted. And I liked all the glass. It looked really nice. I also forgot to finish painting it, and I just realized that when I was doing the Let's Play. Excuse me. This is going to be the office. Again, this is the most I've used Journey to Batu in anything. That and Strangerville and Get to Work really helped me as I was making this, I noticed a lot of it was space themed. So I figured the biodome is helping them get ready for maybe a space mission. So there's some astronaut stuff, especially when you come into this build, you'll see the giant spaceman statue. And then trying to figure out where to put that thing. I just put it in the front. It seemed like it would be something that would needed to be required for all the power that was here. That was the thing. I originally wanted to make this off the grid and simple life living. What would I'm not sure what it's called, where you have to grow your items in order to build them. Not build them, to grow them in order to eat the foods that you want. Yes, build your meal. That's what I meant. And so I realized after I had the computer, the science stuff, all that would not work off the grid. Originally, I went through it and I had candelabras throughout the place. There's some candle walls, and I just said no. So I left the candles, but a few spots have actual lights in there. So I think the bathrooms have candles. As you see here, working on the two different offices. One is for all the fish, one is for all the insects and frogs. There were some really cool ones, like there's the space squid I just put down. He or she, space squiddy, ends up in the fish room and just on the desk. So I thought that would be exciting to have a little space squid monster. There's the utility room, putting those fruits from The Sims 4 for rent out there just made sense. I like using the fish tanks. For some reason, when I would log in to the game, it had like an empty fish tank. So it was very confusing why it wasn't there. But then when it started up, they appeared. So that was good that the fish are still there. I wanted to make the desk not super cluttered, but just looking like, hey, I have to study these fish. So I shoved it right by the aquarium fish tank. Down here you see the livestock area. Currently in the Let's Play there are 6 chickens and hens and 3 eggs that are about to hatch. So we'll see how that goes. And then they have a baby sheep and a baby goat. Mini sheep, you know. I'm finishing up the office. I wanted to have it. At first I was thinking, is this like it's a brand new mission. They've just started. So at first I was going to change out the carpet to make it the less used one, but I left it. These are shelving units from Get to Work. I really like them, but I also really am annoyed with them. When you look at them, it looks like they should have the slot space for 9 of them, but it has for 6, and it's like 1 on top, then 2, then 3. So one of the shelves, I believe, is not completely full, and then later I go back and I put from the debug menu a little placard that slotted onto the middle shelf because it just looked kind of empty how it was. Then I found these prints. I believe this is when you go up into outer space you can take them, or when you use the telescope. I think that's what it's from. And there's my little cow plant. I was gonna have an actual cow plant in maybe the desert, because it would be too creepy having it around the chickens and everything. But I just decided, you know what, the tiny one, I'm gonna leave the tiny one. That makes it less scary, and because I know I would forget to feed it. It's a lot with just the chickens and the mini goats and the mini sheep, just having those limited amounts. At first, like I said, when I saw the fish tank, I thought I forgot to feed them, but I don't think you have to feed them. So we're finishing up here, and then it's going to jump to a tour because it just was a mess. I ended up filming another part of the Let's Build, and I had the screen size wrong, so it was super small. Yeah, so here's our intro. It's a little walking tour. I did the walkway. I realize now, I'm like, maybe you could have put some lights there, but I didn't. So there's the front door. You walk in. It has a tiny little hangout foyer, stairs going up. there we are. The statue that I used is, like I said, very space themey. I didn't want to make their outfits look as space themey. And then I had over here, this I imagined is where the executives come and they just hang out and they have their debriefings and they kind of keep an update. And I wasn't sure which way to have the mirror because it's the two-way mirror. So behind it, um, you can see it into this office, but they don't know that you're looking. But I'm like, why? So it was a little bit confusing how I had that. I also added a mailbox there. It did the thing where it says, oh, we can't reach you, so we're just going to throw it in there. See, this is the one I wanted to set as the front door, the Journey to Batu. It just didn't end up working out that way. I have, right when you walk in, the kitchen. Some things that I've changed since. I added a ping pong table at the very end. There's the bedroom for the 5. I had built about half of this before I remembered I needed a bedroom, I needed the bathroom. So I shoved one downstairs. Also, where that poster is, I turned that into a bathroom just recently when I was playing some more time. The office is all filled in with the posters. I added that little tinker table that sparks. The utility room now is, see, that's where I put their sleeping bags. I removed them, but they're still in their inventory. So sometimes they kind of, yeah, I was like, oh, do I have to set their beds? But I didn't. So they each have one. There's a sitting area. That's the comfiest area. Now I'm going to be setting the beds for everybody else for when it starts up, because I wanted to make sure that if they were tired instantly, that they weren't going to go to the wrong spot. Then when I was playing this, right off the bat, later that day when they did get tired, they would go to their bed, but they would stay fully closed, and then it was like they just napped. So then I had to get them up from their nap and put them back to sleep where they would change into their pajamas again, and I had to do that for everybody, I think once or twice, and then since then it's been fine. Let's see, where are we headed to next? I think just showing the kitchen. Oh, the book nook area. Upstairs, we have, when I was doing this through the debug menu, I found a couple robots, and that reminded me the fabrication table or machine. That's exciting. The chess table, building a robot. Over on the other side of the upstairs area is an art studio, and to the right you see the knitting and the cross stitch. I did remove that storage for the art pieces, and I moved the candles station making up there because I needed that space for just being able for them to sleep down in the woodworking room. So the office turned out really nicely. Originally I had super leafy wallpaper, and instead I just made sure every room other than the bathrooms had the same walls. See, those are the little plaques I found in the debug menu. I'm not even sure what they're from or what they're for. Again, a random machine. I thought, there should be machines throughout. All the photos from space, I just thought would be really nice. The fish ones, there's so many fish here because I don't often fish in the game that I was really surprised that they had them in the game. And I was like, oh, I think I stock the fish here. Yep, look at the little squid. It has the X's on the eyes, so it doesn't look like it. It would be nice if that had a little animation to it. Let's see. Yeah, because for some reason I'm like, I have to make sure she's the one who buys the fish. So fully stock them. And there's not much else you can do with the fish other than stock them. You can open it. I opened the fish tank and it shows you all the different fish that are in there. And then I accidentally pulled it out, and then there was just a fish that had flopped on the ground. So I thought, okay, so I put it back in, and lucky it was okay. There's the radio that they just discovered recently. There's another extra sitting area. None of them have played. Well, no, I think I didn't see them play it, but when I walked past it in another video playing, the symbols I think that's what that's called. The game pieces were out on the table, but I never actually saw any of the simmers do it. I had a little med bay. That's the only spot that has a TV. TV. That's the only spot that has a TV is in the med bay, and they go in there, but not as often as if I had like a jumbo one. See, I wanted to show you that you can watch them in there. And I'm like, but who's watching who? Who would be watching? I wanted it to be just a giant mirror, but I thought that would be a little better. And a red light, I thought make it more. That's why I needed not off the grid. And again, random movie stuff around the woodworking room. Again, that one's different since I played a couple of days in the game. And the outside space, we're gonna head out there in just a second. I really like that new spa from The Sims 4 for rent. I for the longest time had no idea that your Sims fell asleep in there, because when the Bodie and Boyle couldn't find a spot to sleep, Boyle keeps hopping up in the hot tub and falls asleep. And then that in live or live mode is really exciting because it has the ducks. I put some ducks in there and some fish in there. So it is a pool, but it was able to make it look pond-like. And then here we have the chicken coop. I've been growing the oversized vegetables. That's what we were working on, because we needed to make money because the bills came and it was $13,000 or $17,000. So it really, they need to be making some money. I may help them out because that's not one of the goals of the game, to like make money. It's just to see how they interact. As I've been playing, oh, Herbert, he's a magnificent. The gardening bot, he shows up in the first episode and then he kind of just goes on to live his own life, but hopefully he comes back. Same with the Fix It bot. And then I almost forgot. I was like, oh yeah, I got to show you the desert area. So one thing that I'm doing in the Let's Play here is I'm not controlling the interactions between the two. The only two that I did was I made sure that Boyle and Bodie had a high friendship level because they already knew each other going into this, but everyone else is just starting from scratch. I click on activities for them to do. I don't click on interactions between the two Sims. So that's something I haven't done before. So it's pretty interesting seeing how they're responding to one another because, like I mentioned before, I didn't make Nolan mean. He could have been mean to be more like his character in the movie, but it's really interesting to see who hangs out with one another, who interacts with one another. So that's one thing I want to keep going as we play. There may be some things like I'll do off camera just to keep things going smoother during it, but here's where I'm adding the juice pong table, ping pong table. They keep doing juice pong and JC keeps winning most of the time. I added a foosball table. No one touched it after 3 days, so I got rid of it. And I added a couch because they keep reading books. So it doesn't show it in this because, like I said, that's since I started doing my play. I thought about maybe adding a camera, but I'm like, no, they have the security cameras all around. So let's see. I think, am I getting something? Oh yeah, I wanted to add the little. I should have read what it said. I wanted to add him because he popped up, and I thought, you know what? Let's put him in the kitchen. So I do rearrange the kitchen later because I didn't realize all the different items that could actually fit on the shelves. I was pleasantly surprised because sometimes I want to put something on the shelf and I can't. Like it won't fit. It clicks to the wrong spot. Like this was when I realized, hey, the spices go there. I have some pizza things. I think eventually I'll buy him a pizza oven. It's just, I'm so worried about that. In other games I've played with the pizza oven since it came out in Home Chef Hustle, it sets fires very easily. So they don't have high enough cooking skills. Perhaps when the cooking skills get high enough, then I will have the pizza oven make its appearance. But for now, just the pizza man up there. I think we're just finishing up putting the last final touches up on the shelves. I like my horse ranch flower there. I like the, oh my gosh, what is the cork board. So many other things I said in my head first. The cork board, with all the postcards, because I thought, you know what, it'd be nice. Maybe people are sending them little letters, postcards saying, hey, we saw you. How's it going? Hang in there. Do you need anything? So I figured that would be a good thing. And then here I'm just trying to put a carpet underneath the Journey to Batu chairs and the Growing Together table. I really like using the yellow swatch in this game because that's not one that I normally do. I do use those cabinets quite frequently, but this time I said, you know what, it needs the yellow. I think the other swatch was blue. For a second I was going to click on this to be like, oh, let me just check real quick. Here's where I get the last carpet. Then I think perhaps I should do more orange. The amount of times I changed the chairs, I changed the carpets, it just, it needed something. Oh, you know what? The dark blue actually looks nice. Perhaps I'll go back to that. I originally should have thought of doing, I thought the circle table looked nice, but I wanted to make sure it didn't have enough seating for everyone. So here I'm just showing you the end of everything, making it daylight. And I put the news truck out front because I was like, you know what? It's day one. Oh, and then I remembered the mailbox. I saw it right in the back. And I thought, yeah, I don't really want the mailbox. I like using the apartment mailbox because the original apartment mailbox, not the new ones with all the different cubbies. I do the one from City Living, I believe is what, yeah, City Living. So this is still my go-to, just because when I would type it in, it always said a mailbox and this one popped up first. So I would always use this one, even though it was an apartment. But this, I believe we're coming to the end of it. Yeah, and then see, that's the roofing that I was talking about, because some things didn't need to have it and others I needed closure. Alrighty, well, I believe that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will have my first video of the Let's Play coming out tomorrow. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.